Okay, so late last night, Kristen was able to get a reservation, a park pass for here at the Magic Kingdom for today, which is Monday, June 17th, which just happens to be one of the annual pass holder preview days for Tiana's Bayou adventure behind me here, which is awesome, which means that we get the chance to try and ride the ride again, which just means we had to get a virtual queue this morning, which Kristen was up at 7 a.m. She was able to score a virtual queue. We got, let's see, boarding group 57. So aside from the whole thing of me thinking that this whole process for annual pass holder previews is kind of not fair because I am getting to go twice, which I feel like is kind of unfair. But we're gonna use this opportunity to go ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure again and find out why it hasn't been working so great. So even this morning, as I was trying to figure out what time I needed to show up here at the Magic Kingdom to be able to ride at boarding group 57, we saw that they only made it to boarding group number 16 before the ride went down, and it went down for over an hour. Then they opened, it was maybe almost 2 hours, and they opened back up, and currently they're at boarding group number 37. It's a little after 1 p.m., which means that the ride has been down for, just a couple hours today. It doesn't mean that it can't go down again. In the previous days, it's been down for hours. The first day of cast member previews, it was down almost all day the very first day. So let's go ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure one more time together, guys. Let's take a look around. Let's look at the queue. Let's try to figure out why this ride that's almost 30 years old, that has been running for 30 years, is now starting to have a lot of problems, a lot of issues. I think it could be because it's been sitting for a year, it hasn't been working, a lot of, maybe actuators, rusted, that kind of stuff. I don't think it's because of the new show elements. So let's take a look around, let's get in the queue, let's ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure one more time and find out if we can take a look and see what's causing such massive issues for this ride. I love that the area music is still pretty much the same outside here, and the fact that the water wheel is running. I know a couple days ago when we were here, the water wheel wasn't running. I love that that's running. I love that the fountain here on the side is running. We'll see that. This is at the end of the ride, that if you didn't quite get wet enough, that you'll still get a chance to get wet. So I can hear the logs coming down the 50-foot plunge, which is a really good sign that the ride is working well. It's been up for just a few hours. I thought we'd walk around the entire ride. We're gonna take a look at the queue because a lot of the queue, like I said, is new and reimagined. It's a great picture spot. I'm not gonna get in people's way to get good pictures. So they've got some new line queues up here. I wonder if that's because they've had a lot of folks sitting around waiting here. Well, the attraction is 101, which is not operating. Looking great. So outside, the big difference is that Chickapin Hill, the big tree on the top is gone, and it's replaced with the bayou, with the swamp. And it's pretty. They put flowers all around it. They've got the water tower here that says Tiana's Foods. It is pretty, and it's even prettier at night. As far as the rides vehicles themselves, the logs, so they did take Briar Rabbit off the front. You remember all the logs had Briar Rabbit on the front. Those are gone. Take a look at this special design here, this cutout on the front of the logs. Now these were originally designed for Splash Mountain, and they had a special design feature in them, and that little cutout in the front of the log was designed to create, actually this is funny, less splash. It's designed to create less splash, which means less water loss. It means you get a little less wet on the ride, which means there's less water being sprayed out on people. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it was something that Disney invented and patented, that cutout there is designed to reduce the amount of actual splash and the wave that happens in front of the ride vehicle. We'll go here in a minute. It's kind of cool. I figured that out a couple of days ago and thought that was kind of unique because I always saw that interesting cutout on the front of the log, and I was never really sure what it was for. So here you can see they've actually got a sign up that says event entrance. And unless your boarding group is called, you're not going to be able to get much further than this sign right here, as they are, you know, every once in a while, you know, check your app and see if your boarding group has been called. I'm not sure how many boarding groups they're allowing per day, but like I said, we at 7 a.m. were given boarding group number 57. The very first time we rode, we were in boarding group 5. So we've been pretty lucky. I'm not sure how far along they're going to get, how many boarding groups they are going to get, but I'm going to have to kind of wait. I'm going to have to wait here until my boarding group is called. Critter Co-op over here, guys. I'm excited for that. On June 28th, with the opening of the ride, there is a lot of awesome merchandise in there. And I know Kristen's going to be here that day. I might try to be here that day. I want a hat, guys. I really want the Tiana's Bayou Adventure hat. So a lot of cool merchandise is going to be available. But that's not until the ride is officially open on the 28th. All right, we're going to hold out here. We're going to wait for our boarding group. Then we're going to go experience the queue, figure out where the Lightning Lane entrance is versus the regular standby entrance, ride the ride. Maybe we can see how everything's looking inside. If the animatronics last time we rode were a little off, maybe we can see why the ride is not functioning quite as well. So those of you who were around about a year ago, a little over a year ago on the channel, I stood here for about, I don't know, 17 hours for the last day of Splash Mountain. I stood just about right here, watching the logs come over, the last logs go into the briar patch. And then what happened after that is that this whole area here was drained. The whole attraction was drained of water. I can't speak for the inside, but I'd imagine if the outside was drained, that the inside was also drained of water. Guys, it was empty without water for over a year. And you know what happens when you have a climate like Florida, very humid climate, you've got something that's always had water in it for 30 years, and all of a sudden you empty it and you drain it completely for a year. Things are gonna rust. They're gonna seize up. Like, you know, imagine when you leave a car engine out for a year and you don't start it. Parts seize up. You know, hydraulics seize up, everything seizes up. So imagine this ride that's 30 years old. I don't think that they replaced very much on this attraction aside from the showpieces, the show elements, and that has nothing to do with the mechanics of the ride itself. So my opinion when Kristen and I were talking is that the reason this ride's having so many issues right now is, you know, because it's been idle for a year. There's a lot of rusty parts and a lot of actuators that are probably freezing up. You know, when you come up to the top of one of those lift hills and it raises you up and it holds you there until it's safe to go. These are all moving parts. These are all lots of moving parts. When you combine lots of moving parts together with something that's had water and then doesn't have water and now has water again, there you start to see some issues. And that's kind of what I'm thinking could be part of this issue, because man, for 30 years, Splash Mountain, it went so well. Part 2, something I'm also thinking might be causing a lot of the backups and a lot of the problems is, I think they added a lot more of the logs into the flume. I think they added a lot more ride vehicles into the flume. The only reason I'm thinking that is because they know it's going to be super popular when it opens back up, and they're going to want it to be at max capacity. So whatever logs were damaged or had been pulled out over the last 30 years, I think they got those repaired, they put them in thinking they need to have this ride up to capacity. Well, that's good, but hey, guess what? Now you've got this big system here with so many ride vehicles in it, and it's literally starting to log jam. And we saw that the first morning of our preview on the 13th when we were here, that there were just logs backed up all the way around. Now, we've never seen that. I don't know if that's normal for this attraction. It may be. But I thought that they kind of stored all the ride vehicles inside or maybe at the end of the attraction, but it's hard to say. We just saw so many logs stacked up around the whole loop here that could be a possibility as well. So just some things to think about when you're wondering why the attraction is not running at 100%, you know, up to max capacity and having so much downtime right now. Okay, still waiting for my virtual queue. They're in the mid-30s right now. I'm at 57. But we will get on the ride as long as it doesn't break again. So fingers crossed that they'll get to boarding group 57. We'll get to look and see if the animatronics are up to speed. And hey, maybe the ride breaks down when we're on it. Maybe we get evac'd. How cool would that be? All right, we'll see. Okay, so the time is now just before 3 p.m. My boarding group has still not been called. They're right at around 53 or so. So it's been like 2 hours. I just kind of hung out over it. I'm getting upstaged here by some logs going down the 50-foot drop. But yeah, I hung out in Pecosville for about 2 hours here, just kind of hanging out. And hopefully in just a few minutes, my boarding group will get called and we'll head in. But the boarding groups are moving very, very, very slowly. Okay, everybody, there you go. It is now just 3 p.m. and they have just called boarding group 57. So it is our turn at 3 p.m. We are heading in with boarding group 57. So I think that they're gonna check my phone here to make sure I have the right one.
Welcome everyone for your Tiana's Bayou Adventure Passholder preview. You're gonna show your
Thank you.
Please show your virtual queue time.
All right, so they're gonna let us into the virtual queue now. So now if you are doing child swap, you will have to go all the way up to the front here, and that's where they're gonna do child swap. They do have a great spot, a shaded spot under the train tracks for you to park your stroller and for you to wait for child swap. So you can drop one member of your party off with your little one person rides, then you come back, and you the other person gets lightning lane.
Can we see your boarding group one more time, bud?
Sure can. Sorry, the phone's overheated.
Oh, perfect. All set.
Cool, thank you.
All set.
So you can see they actually do have the lightning lane sign up there, 257, virtual queue, groups 41 through 57. So if you are doing child swap, you're gonna go off to the right over here, and that's where you're gonna park your stroller, and you'll wait. And the virtual queue is straight ahead here, so I'm gonna have to use my magic band. So you can see lightning lane's gonna be off to the left.
Have a good time.
Thank you. So if you are doing lightning lane, you're gonna go off to the left here, and you're gonna bypass the majority of the queue and go straight up into that last hallway that goes down into the ride. So just keep aware that if you are doing lightning lane, you're not gonna get the majority of the queue, which is outside and obviously in the building right here. Man, it's interesting. Most of the queue is closed here. When I was here last week, all these back and forths, all these stanchions were open. So they must be calling back very small numbers, which is pretty evident that, in boarding group 57 at 3 p.m., they are not calling back large amounts of people at one time. So capacity must be fairly low, I'm guessing, at this point. Still get your 50-foot plunge ahead sign. It smells like beignets in here.
You're listening to WNO. That was Duchess Leah singing with the Blue Sky Social Club. Do you know what it means to miss Fluffy? And I do know what it means to miss Fluffy. I once visited my Uncle Charlie who lives in Fluffy, and it was the longest.
Hello.
Right this way.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, RUNUR here. For your safety, please keep your hands, arms, feet, legs, and tails inside the vehicle. Remain seated and supervised. Any little music scouts joining the surge. Let the good times roll.
¿Cómo están, amigos? Por su seguridad, permanezcan sentados con las manos, brazos, pies y piernas dentro del vehículo. Cuiden a sus pequeños. Venga la diversión.
Last time Dad and I rode this thing around. The line was so short that we
Just 1 minute, wait for the front. Awesome, thank you.
How many? One road
Hopefully it starts raining during the ride. That gives us more wind. Or that gets us rain. You get more wet. just up ahead. Let's join them and find the band for our celebration.
Yoo-hoo! Any bands down here? Come out, wherever you are!
Here's the thing, cause the bigger you are, the bigger the splash you'll make in the party. To the party! You got there in no time. Guaranteed. Remember, this party wouldn't be what it is without you. Bye.
for listening to WNO New Orleans. That was the Blue Sky Social Club ending another brilliant performance with Men Wish You. Word is, that's the alligator song. You all know Lewis, even though he doesn't need to be human. That gator is one green bag. Exactly. Looks like our next band is just about setting up. Without any further ado, here's
That's the picture of your son. I also have Do you need your card? I think so.
Excuse me?
That's what she should be.
So that was my second ride, and second ride definitely better than the first one from a technical standpoint, and I think I enjoyed it better the second time too. But what I did find very interesting, guys, is that there are so many logs on this ride. And you can see one going by there behind me completely empty. So what was interesting is after I rode the ride and I got off, nobody else was getting back on the ride. I did notice a couple of guys from Imagineering, WDI, were there at the ride, at the exit of the ride. And you can see, I think some of them were actually riding the ride. One of the Imagineers was there at the exit. I noticed him observing what was going on. I also, at a couple of times during the ride, before the ride, and actually during, as you're going up the lift hills, saw what looked like managers or possibly WDI people watching the ride vehicles go by. So they are definitely still in the test and adjust phase. I will tell you what I think the problem is they are trying to fit so many ride vehicles on this track at once to get it up to that capacity that is going to be needed when this ride opens. I think, from my very untechnical, non-ride engineer perspective, that could be the case. Now, I find it very surprising that they're not, because they were down this morning, that they're not really trying to get a lot of people through the ride right now. I can't imagine that they got everybody through, all the previews through already by 3 p.m. It's possible, but hard to say. I also noticed that some of the audio animatronics, like the Lewis that you first see after the first small drop, who was talking the first time is not talking at all. He's just kind of dancing. He wasn't talking. Some of the other animatronics I noticed, one of the Tianas was not speaking. So it's hard to say. I know that that was some of the problems they had, where some of the animatronics were just not syncing up. Some were not moving at all. Some, were just having some major issues. So they're still doing a lot of work here. The ride is good. I got so much more wet the second time than the first time, so that was great. It's still a great way to cool off during the summer, but yes, they're still having some technical problems. Yes, I think they're still going to have technical problems when the ride opens on the 28th. Looks like they are definitely trying to fix it. And this is a 30-year-old ride, guys. It's a 30-year-old ride, and they got to keep it working now. It's fresh and brand new. They got to keep it working for another 30 years. So is the ride working? Yes. Is it working fantastically? I don't think so yet. So I think we're going to see some major delays when Tiana's Bayou Adventure opens up on the 28th of this month. So thank you for hanging around with me. Thank you for listening to me rant about this ride. It is going to be good. It is going to be a fan favorite. Will it replace Splash Mountain? Absolutely not. Will people complain about that? Absolutely they will. So I hope you enjoyed the spoiler. See it for yourself. You have to see it in person. It's a good ride, and enjoy.